Now we got a pretty good line of people here that are some going directly, as I am, to Mutianyu Great Wall. It's a bunch of Europeans here, different places. A little footnote to the directions. The bus that we did take, 867, had a decal on it that said 936. The original bus I thought I was supposed to be taking. This looks totally abandoned. But new stuff being built right alongside, nevertheless. Here they dry the corn right alongside the road, and in some instances where they've shucked or where they've peeled the kernels off, they dry it right in this lane we're about partially into right now, and the traffic just goes around it, and then they shovel it all into trucks. Just saw a sign to Mutianyu, so we're en route to that right now. It's fortunate that this is a direct bus, because otherwise somewhere back in the town we just came through, which is Ewan or something like that, we'd have to get a taxi or a minibus or something like that. When I planned the trip in the U.S., I made a decision to walk up the south path and maybe take the flying, whatever you call those things, slide back down from the top. So here's the slide. Haven't seen anybody come down it in my short few minutes here. Could be fun. This is cement railing, somewhat reminiscent of what I've seen available in Jackson on occasion. These are clever and touristy tourist trash receptacle. Now, apparently you can control the speed quite well. So it just looks like an easy way down. These more cleverly executed than the ones on the Jioshan Great Wall in Shanhaiguan, going up to the Xi'an Monastery. This is up to tower number 1 and goes a longer distance the opposite direction. This apparently is one of the more complete Great Wall facilities, buildings down there being some of the support buildings you normally don't see. Gotta shoot past the electrical power poles. Well, kind of past. This is a steep one, although I've been on steeper. And now we get to what looks kind of authentic, although those shooting ports don't look like they're original or were intended to be original. Here the drainage is along the edge, which is the first time I've seen that. And here you've got what looks like standard stairs, although normally it was 2 or 3 of the thicker bricks piled one on top. This tower is a little bit eerie because you can see it coming apart at the seams, and even where there are no seams, which does not portend well for the person that happens to be here looking out that window when it goes. This is interesting because it's an external access to the wall. And it seems like they've crenellated both sides of the wall for some reason. As far as you're legally able to go, if you can reclassify yourself as non-tourist, non-public. I want to look behind it nevertheless. Well, some tourists are ignoring those signs, and it sounds like there's more up ahead. So I'll go up there enjoying them, and we can be executed en masse. Okay, we're aptly standing on the remains of a tower, which would have dropped right off vertically from where we are, it seems like. There's a trace of it below and a trace of it there. Maybe a trace off to the right there before it somehow ends up winding itself up the top of that hill there. We can see a tower or two on the way up. Of course, unrestored, and it disappears from sight, and who knows where it goes. It's interesting that there's a small village up here. I think I'll need to look at my notes and see if it's referenced. And here's a spur wall section going off to the right. You can see where that goes, and there's some kind of Chinese characters up there. Perhaps there's another village over there. And then what's curious is we look through a gap in the mountain. There on the far hills, maybe a mile back, is more of the Great Wall winding off there. And this wall apparently had another spur wall coming off the one that we're walking on, the main one, from that tower, and worked its way over there, and I saw people walking. So I'll go walk on that one. We can see how it goes on up to the top and probably continues right across and down in another direction. It's these spur walls that I find fascinating. I'd like to know what the strategy was, other than to block several avenues of movement for the enemy and or waste a lot of energy on his part. Here I'm obviously standing on the remains of an old tower on this abandoned part of the wall. I'll take the trail here, they'll get me back onto the wall proper. There you go. We can't climb up on these towers, but we get a kind of a look from down here. These are all restored. These look original with the slanted windows for shooting a cannon out of or whatever. And here's some kind of a place where you could put the plaque or whatever, the standard of the military group that occupied it. You can see it starting to come apart here. There's no surprise. Now to figure out how to get up on that wall. Methinks the way is outside this window, or at least that's the way I'm going. Some rocks piled up to make it easier to get back in. So here we go. I have to be careful when I come out of a window like that because it has the potential of putting a sharp cramp in that sciatic nerve. This wall in a considerable state of pending crumble down. Here I'm in between a couple of walls, which one only exists a little bit further here. Here we get a little look inside of a wall again. You can see it appears that it's built at an angle, which of course almost all the buildings are, and the wall itself, when you're looking at it, it's built at an angle, and that may just be a direct reflection of that. Although I think it's much more of an angle there, including that one there. You can see that it's considerably more at an angle than this one that I'm following. I think that's a turkey. I scared one up somewhere other place and it went flying out of the trees. Okay, here's a pretty gnarly spot, so put my focus to it. Hope it doesn't decide to cave in at that time. You'll notice that part I just walked about had the original large paving stones, under which were the typical fired brick. If in fact those weren't fired brick, but they're used to having that size stone underneath. Here we're approaching a tower. It doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape, although that just may be the prime foundation